Hey friends, let's get moving. For this class, we're going to give our lower body a little bit of love. So you will need some props. You're going to need a therapy ball. You're going to need a blanket. And if you have a half dome, that's going to be helpful. But if you don't have a half dome, you can just use the blanket for the half dome stuff. And then lastly, a block. Okay, so we're going to get started with the foundation of our lower body and our whole body, in fact, our feet. So go ahead and put your therapy ball on the ground and put your left foot up on the therapy ball and stagger your right foot back. If balance is an issue, hold on to a chair or come closer to the wall. And we're just gonna step the left foot, the weight of the body, onto the ball and then rock back onto the right. And again, step forward onto the left and back onto the right. So you control the amount of pressure that your foot is receiving from the therapy ball. If you want more pressure, lean more of your body weight forward. So that would be knee over chest, nose over chest over knee. And if you want less pressure, you're gonna keep your chest and your nose back behind your knee. And each time you rock back, that's your chance to move the therapy ball to a slightly different spot on the sole of your foot. So we're working all over the sole. And just take a few more rocks here. And then I want you to find a spot on your foot that feels particularly interesting. And we're gonna hold there, rock forward and hold. And take a deep breath in through your nose, blow it out through your mouth. Great job. And let's go ahead and switch over to the other foot. So we're gonna be massaging the right foot, mobilizing all those teeny tiny joints. So just rock forward, taking a step forward onto your right foot. Again, more pressure is gonna be nose over chest over knee. Less pressure, you're gonna kind of keep your chest and your nose back behind your knee. Each time you rock back, you're moving the ball to a different spot on the foot. So, you know, the arch area has a lot of yummy places to work, but please don't neglect up at the ball of your foot, the base of your toes, and your heel. Your heel appreciates a little bit of love too. And then go ahead and find that interesting spot, whatever it might be on this foot, and go ahead and rock forward. And again, hold, take a breath in through your nose, blow out through your mouth. Great job. Okay, go ahead and step backwards, get that ball out of there. And now we're just gonna stretch the toes a little bit on the ground. So you're gonna put your right big toe on the ground, but kind of turn your thigh in so that your knee is pointing towards the left and your toes are pointing towards the left. And then you're gonna plant your right big toe where it is and twist it and rotate your leg so that your toes are pointing straight ahead. So this is gonna make your big toe spread way far apart from the other four toes on your foot. And so then we're gonna do that again on the left foot. So you're gonna put your left big toe on the ground, point your knee and your toes to the right, ground your big toe, and then twist like you're putting out a cigarette with your big toe, which please don't do that. And then you'll end up with your feet straight ahead. Now your big toes are planted firmly on the ground. Go ahead and lift your other four toes up away from the ground. If you need to look down at your toes to make that brain toe connection happen, you can do that. Spread your toes apart and set them back down. And then just take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Great job. Okay, now grab your half dome and we're gonna go ahead and stretch our calves a bit. If you don't have the half dome, just roll up your stiff blanket, or if you have a spare yoga mat or Pilates mat, you can roll that up and use that instead. So we're gonna step the ball of the left foot onto the half dome and take a moment to pay attention to the way that your kneecap is pointing on that left leg. So make sure that your kneecap is not pointing over to the right. We want the kneecap actually kind of pointing over to the left. And that's gonna mean that our thigh is in kind of like a nice neutral position, get a different kind of a stretch in our calf. So you can start then to walk your right foot forward until you feel a happy amount of stretch in your left calf. Okay. And this is good for me. And I'm just gonna make sure that my ribs are dropped down because that's gonna take the slack out of my back line. And I'm just hanging out here, feeling the sensation in the back of my lower leg, in the back of my ankle. Soft shoulders. This is something that I do while I am washing the dishes or chopping vegetables. I know some people like to keep a half dome in their bathroom and they do a calf stretch while they brush their teeth. So it's definitely a move that you can layer in to the rest of your day. Okay, and now we're gonna bend the left knee any amount. I feel like my knee bent like a centimeter. Notice how the stretch sensation changes as you bend the left knee. For me, in my body, it felt like the load of the work transferred from kind of like my higher calf up towards my knee, down lower to kind of the back of my ankle. And that makes sense because your calf has layers of muscle. And the deeper layer, the deeper muscle is called the soleus. And it just goes from your lower leg to your heel. So it doesn't bend your knee at all. But there is that calf muscle on top of the soleus called the gastrocnemius. And that one actually attaches up onto your thigh bone. So it does help bend the knee. So when we keep the leg straight, we're, affecting both of those muscles. But when we bend the knee, we're kind of taking the gastrocnemius, that top layer, out of it and going a little deeper. So now that I've explained all you need to know about your lower leg muscles, go ahead and step your right foot back and your left foot back. Did you hear that peeling off of the foot from the half dome? Just take a moment, see how you feel. And then slide your half dome over to the side and let's do the right foot. So ball of the right foot up on the half dome. Pay attention to your knee joint. Again, you don't want your kneecap pointing over to the left. You kind of want your kneecap pointing over to the right. And so from here, go ahead and walk your left foot forward until you feel that happy stretch, a good degree of stretch sensation that feels kind. Find what's kind. And it might be that one calf feels different than the other. You might notice that one ankle has more range of motion than the other. That's pretty normal. Make sure that your ribs are mellowed down. Soft shoulders. I said all the things on the first side, so we're going to enjoy some silence on the second side, which you might be happy for. Okay, so from here, we're going to bend the right knee any amount so that we're targeting that deeper layer, the soleus muscle. I'm noticing that my right knee bent a whole lot further than my left knee. And I would encourage you to know that it doesn't mean that like the motion is actually coming from your knee. It means the motion is coming from your ankle. So if you have one side where the knee bends further, that just means you have more range of motion in that ankle. Noticing how the stretch sensation changed as you bent your knee. Okay, and let's go ahead and straighten that leg. Step your left foot back. There's that peely sound, foot peeling off of the half dome. And just take a full breath in and out. Okay, you can scoot your half dome out of the way. And we're gonna now stretch the top of the foot, the front of the shin. So if you need a chair to help you with balance or the wall, please feel free to do that. We're gonna step the left foot back any amount. We're gonna put the toenail side of the ground, or toenail side of the foot on the ground. And then you're gonna kind of come upright. So every body is different. If you feel a nice stretch sensation here, that's great. If you don't feel a nice stretch sensation and you'd like to explore, deepening that sensation, you can always drag your left foot isometrically forward. You can also try stepping your left foot back further. You can also try bending your left knee. So there's lots of options, but also rest assured that even if you don't feel a stretch sensation in this position or even in the calf stretch position, the lack of a stretch sensation doesn't mean that you're receiving zero benefit from this shape. You're putting your body in a shape, and each shape has its own mechanical benefit, whether or not it feels like sensation or registers as a stretch. Okay, go ahead and step your left foot forward. And let's do the right foot. Okay, so again, if you feel a good stretch sensation or you feel happy with where you are right now, you can stay put. If you want to explore deepening the stretch sensation, you can try dragging your right foot isometrically forward. You can try stepping your right foot backward more. And I'm actually good here, so I'm not gonna demonstrate stepping the right foot back further this time. And you can also demonstrate, or you can also bend your right knee. Soft shoulders, soft jaw. Okay, great job. Go ahead and step that right foot forward. Both feet on the ground. Take a full breath in and out. Okay, now we're gonna step sideways and step the feet wide apart, wider than your hips, and turn your toes out, wider than your heels. Bend your knees and lower your pelvis into a wide squat. Any amount. And then just go ahead and rest your hands on your knees and lean your torso forward a little bit. And then you can play around here with leaning your torso from side to side, turning to look over one shoulder and then the other. This kind of does transfer some of the work up into the spine and into the upper body, but also as you move your torso around, I invite you to notice how that changes any sensation in your legs, specifically the inner leg. Just kind of feeling it out and feeling the legs heat up a little bit as well, which we're going for. Okay, go ahead and stand up. And now we're gonna make our way down to the ground. And we're gonna be on our knees a little bit. So if you want some padding under your knees, you can spread out your blanket. Okay, so from here, go ahead and step your right foot forward, and we're gonna bring the hands down to the ground, or you can use the block or a chair, whatever is gonna help you to feel stable and supported in this position. And we're gonna make sure that the right heel is super rooted into the ground. We're not gonna let the right heel peel up, and we're gonna take the right knee forward any amount. And of course, if you experience any discomfort in your knee, back off and find what's kind. Find a kind range of motion that's pain-free. And maybe experiencing a little bit of that same sensation that we felt when we were doing the calf stretch with the bent knee. Just kind of exploring and loading that range of motion. And then go ahead and shift your weight back towards your back leg. And as you do that, you can pop up onto that front heel, lean your body over your front leg for a little bit of a hamstring stretch. Notice if your right hip is kind of hiked up towards your right shoulder. See if you can drop the right hip away from the right shoulder. And if so, how does that affect the stretch sensation that you feel? And then let's go ahead and work the right foot, sole of the right foot down towards the ground, saying hello to the front of the shin. And then keep your heel where it is and keep your thigh where it is, and just turn your toes, point them to the left. So if you notice that your knee rotated in, then that meant that you were moving from your thigh, when actually I would like for you to try moving from your ankle only. So you're just pointing your toes over to the left, and that might change the stretch from being solely on the top of the shin to kind of over on the side of the shin as well. Okay, and then go ahead and point your toes forward, and let's bend the front knee again. Let's get another really deep bend in the front knee, trying to keep the heel planted and taking the knee forward. If you need to scoot your back knee forward, if you feel like you're about to do kind of a half splits, then you can always do that. Shorten up your lunge position, because right now we are focusing on the front ankle. And then again, shift your weight back, pop that ball of the foot up, pop your toes up, pull your toes towards your chest. And this time a little bit different. Of course, if you need to have your hands on your block or hands on that chair, again, you can do that. A little bit different here is this time we're gonna push the right heel into the ground, okay? Trying to kind of like dig an invisible hole in the floor. Keeping that right hip moving away from the shoulder. One more breath here. And work the sole of the foot down. And now see if you can press the ball of your foot and your toes into the ground. You might notice as you do that that your calf muscle activates on the lower side of your shin, or the underside of your shin, I mean. And then keep your heel where it is and point your toes over to the left. And again, as you do that, push down into the ground through the ball of your foot and your big toes. Okay, point your toes forward again, pop that foot up, and then we're gonna go ahead and step the right leg back to meet the left. Go ahead and come upright. Put your hands on your sacrum and your lower back. So your sacrum is a bone right at the base of your spine that's kind of shaped like an upside down triangle. And it helps connect the left side of the pelvis and the right side of the pelvis. So you might be able to find those bony points, the edges of the top 2 points of the triangle. And if you can, you could put your thumbs there. If you can't find them, then just make your best guess. And from here, go ahead and push your pelvis forward any amount and release. And again, push your pelvis forward any amount and release. Okay, let's go over to lunge on the other side. So I'm gonna switch my block over to the right. I'm gonna step my left foot forward. And first, just paying attention to that front ankle. We're gonna root the left heel down to the mat and take a deep lunge forward. I'm gonna move my block with me for some support. And I know that this is my side that doesn't move as much. My left ankle has much smaller range of motion than my right ankle. So I'm stopping a lot sooner on this side than I did on the other side. And again, if this doesn't feel well for your left knee, please back up a little bit. Find what's kind, come into a knee bend that feels comfortable to you. Okay, and then let's go ahead and shift the weight back. And this is where we're gonna pop up onto the heel of that left foot and lean the torso over the left leg. Notice if your left hip is hiked towards your shoulder, and invite that left hip to move down. And then place the left foot on the ground, working the sole of the foot all the way down to the ground, saying hello to the top of the shin. And then keep your heel where it is, turning from the ankle joint, point your left toes over to the right. Today I'm recording in the afternoon instead of in the morning, and I feel like maybe I've lost all ability to English and speak. Okay, go ahead and point your toes forward again, pop back up onto that heel, and bend your front knee. So we're gonna come back to focus on the front ankle again. And I remember that when I shifted back, I had to step my heel forward to get into that position. So to prepare for the lunge, I'm gonna step my foot back towards me again so that I don't feel like I'm over lunging into this next shape. So left heel stays really grounded, and I'm gonna take my left knee into a nice deep bend, really keeping my heel working down into the ground pretty actively trying to press the left heel more and more into the ground. And then shift back over the back foot, extend the left leg straight, pop up onto the heel. And now again, here, you're gonna press the heel down into the ground like you're trying to make a divot. Left hip away from the left shoulder. And then work the sole of the foot down any amount. And once it gets down there, go ahead and really push through the foot into the ground. So it's got some activity here, not just a passive stretch. And then keep your heel planted and just turn your toes to the right. Again, press the foot into the ground. Press the ball of the foot and the toes into the ground. You might feel the left calf start to activate as a result. Okay, point your toes forward, peel your foot up off the ground, bring a bend back into that left knee, and let's step back into our kneeling position. Bring your thumbs back to your sacrum, the top two corners of that inverted triangle, and push your hips forward any amount. And again. Okay, so from here, go ahead and move your block out of the way and plant the tops of your feet into the ground. even like spread your toes a little bit and try to get your toenails planted into the ground as well. And now you're gonna reach your arms forward with a bend in your wrists, and you're gonna kind of resist yourself as you bend at the hips and try to come into an all fours position without doing what I just did, which was flopping down. So as you lean your torso forward, notice which muscles in your legs start to work. This might seem like a really easy looking kind of a thing, but to keep yourself from totally flopping down, it actually requires a fair bit of muscular effort in your hamstrings, and your glutes, your backside. So again, bending at the waist, at the hips, creasing the hips. The hips are kind of coming back as the torso comes forward. And you might also notice that the tops of your feet want to try to come up off the ground, so you're gonna have to really keep those honest as well. And I also find that I really feel my core abdominals working as I start to hinge forward. Whew. Okay, let's just do one more. And then we're gonna stay there. Okay, now I'm gonna move my props a little bit out of the way. And from here, we're gonna take the left leg out to the side. So the arch of the left foot is in a line with the right knee. And then from here, you're gonna shift your hips back any amount towards your heels. Maybe saying hello to the left inner leg, and just come back up. And again, shifting back and forward. Rocking forward and backward any amount. You don't have to come all the way back to sit on your back heel if that doesn't feel well for your knee or any other part of you. One more here. Okay, and then bring your left knee back in, and let's switch over to the other side. So the right leg's gonna come out to the side. Again, the sole of the right foot is in a line with the left knee. And we're gonna shift the hips back any amount. And so as you shift your hips back, you might start to feel those same muscles that we just used as we were bringing our hands down to the ground. You might start to feel those muscles working to help you lift and lower here. Okay, last one here. Come back upright. Okay, bring your right knee in, and I'm gonna move this blanket out of the way. Go ahead and come to a seated position, and we're gonna try to take a 90-90 leg position. So that's gonna mean that you have a 90-degree bend in your right leg knee and your left leg knee. So you're gonna have to kind of do this little dance probably of like, if I sit down through my right hip more, my left knee is gonna come up. And if I wanna get my left knee down, I have to lift my right hip up. So find kind of like a happy medium in between those two. And then you can use your blanket or your block or your half dome to support under your front leg or your back hip, whichever one feels better. So I'm gonna put my arms in this I Dream of Jeannie arm position here. And first I'm gonna lean forward over my front leg, any amount, and come back up. And then I'm gonna turn my torso towards my back leg and I'm gonna lean towards my back leg any amount. Ooh, I had a pop. And I'm gonna come back up, and I'm just gonna rotate back forward again. I'm gonna lean forward over that front leg. And we're just gonna do this 3 times. So this is finishing up our second time. Here we go, last time. Leaning over the front leg, and then leaning over the back leg. Okay, go ahead and come back upright. And now you can release your hands for a moment. I'm realizing that I didn't choose the best direction to sit in, because we're gonna try to switch sides without using our hands. So before we do that, I'm gonna rotate a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to my I Dream of Jeannie hands here, and we're gonna start to pick up the right knee away from the ground. And as you do so, you're gonna rotate your torso through center, and then the left knee pops up. And then rolling across the sit bones, we're gonna take the legs open in the other direction. Okay, so again, you're gonna try to find that happy medium between just solely sitting on the right hip, and the left hip is like, dangling in midair. But then if you try to get your left hip on the ground, then your front knee pops up. So, try to find the happy medium, and then you can bolster underneath whichever side you need. And I think this time I'm gonna kind of bolster under my sit bone, under my hip instead of under my knee, because that's what kind of feels a little bit more vulnerable here. Okay, I Dream of Jeannie arms. And rotate your torso towards your right leg, and you're gonna lean forward over that right leg any amount, and come back up. Rotate towards your left leg, and lean towards your left leg any amount. Come back up. So 2 more times each way. And notice if there's a way that is, easier or harder. For me on this leg, it is definitely leaning over this left internally rotated leg. It does not want me to go very far. This is the last time. Okay, didn't go very far. That's okay. Go ahead, and if you have a half dome underneath, you get that out of the way, and we're gonna rotate back through to center. So I Dream of Jeannie arms, and go ahead and pick up your left knee, and you're gonna kind of ka-thunk through to your sit bones. So from here, go ahead and bring one foot in at a time so the soles of the feet are touching and the knees are apart. Okay, so if you feel pretty upright, great. If you're feeling kind of like schlumped here a little bit, you can always sit on your blanket or your block or your half dome, and that can help you to feel a little bit more upright. Okay, so here you can keep your I Dream of Jeannie arms. Make sure your ribs are mellow, so you're not trying to use your rib cage to pretend that you're sitting up taller than you actually are. Nestle your ribs down, and then lean your torso forward over your legs any amount, and come back up. And as you do that, as you lean forward, push your feet into one another. So super strong legs here. One more time. Okay, great. Go ahead and bring the knees together. You can release your arms. So we have worked a lot on the lower legs, the front, the sides, and the back of the lower legs. We have worked on the backs of the thighs. We've worked on the inner thighs, And now we're gonna work on the fronts of the thighs a bit. So you can use, where is it? You can use your half dome or your rolled blanket. And we're gonna, if you're using the half dome, go ahead and put the curved side down. So the flat side is facing up. Or you can just use your rolled blanket. And when we lay down, that support is gonna go right at the crease of your hips. Okay, so I'm gonna stay up onto my forearms here. And the great thing about the half dome is that I can kind of rock it so that my tailbone weights down towards the ground and my pelvis comes into a more neutral position. For me, I tend to have my tailbone sticking up and out at all times. So I need to do a little bit of tucking to bring my body into neutral, my pelvis into neutral. If you know that you tend to tuck your pelvis under habitually, then maybe you can rock forward on the half dome just a little bit, and you can kind of feel how that's gonna take you closer to what you might need to be in a neutral position. And then from here, go ahead and bend your right knee and really actively pull your heel towards your sit bone. Pull, 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 pull. And then if you have any extra awareness to spare, and you can lift your right knee away from the ground and put it down. And just lift it up and down a little bit, a few times. Okay, then from here, I'm gonna cross my right forearm in front of me, and I'm gonna reach around with my right hand and grab my foot. You can grab your ankle, the top of your foot, your toes, whatever. If you can't get to your foot, don't worry. Just get a strap or a belt, and you can loop it around. So pull with your hand, so you're pulling your heel closer into your sit bone, but then also push your foot back into your hand. And breathe. Can you soften through your shoulders, through your neck, through your jaw? Just because we're giving the lower body a little love doesn't mean we should forget about the upper body. Okay, and release the resistance, and then release your grip. Okay, so now we're gonna switch over to the other side. So from here, go ahead and bring your left heel in towards your sit bone and really squeeze, squeeze, squeeze it in. Notice where you feel activating, which muscles you feel firing up to help you do that. And then you can try lifting the left knee away from the ground as well. Ooh, buddy. It's a lot harder on this side. Okay, last one. And then from here, cross your right forearm in front of your body, reach your left hand back. Pull with your hand to bring your heel closer to your sit bone, but then push your foot back into your hand. Soft shoulders, soft neck, soft jaw. Nice slow breaths. And release the resistance first, and then release your grip. And come back to center, rock your hips a little bit. If you're on the half dome, you can curl your toes under and rock yourself forward and backward on the half dome. That kind of feels nice for the lower back. Okay, and go ahead and push yourself up. And now we're gonna get the half dome out of the way of our hips, and I'm gonna actually use the half dome underneath my shoulders. And I'm gonna use the blanket underneath my head. So if you don't have the half dome, you can put the blanket under your shoulders and the block under your head. This is what it's gonna look like. We're gonna use the wall. So I'm gonna guess that my shoulders are gonna be right here. And I'm gonna guess that my head is gonna be right here. And of course, I'll probably need to adjust that once I get into position. I'm gonna sit sideways at the wall, and then I'm gonna lay back and put my legs up the wall. Oh, I estimated very wrongly. Okay, so scoot around until you get the support under your shoulders and your head. And if you know that your hips are a little on the, air quotes, tighter side, you can shimmy your hips further back away from the wall. Okay, if you know that your hips are a little bit more flexible, you can keep your hips a little bit closer to the wall. Climb your feet up a little bit so your knees unbend somewhat, and then cross your left ankle over your right thigh. So you can stay put here, or you can slowly bring your foot down the wall, your right foot down the wall, to increase the stretch sensation. Take some deep breaths. And while you're here, we're gonna create some resistance. So you're gonna pull, without taking your right foot away from the wall, you're gonna pull your right knee towards your chest while you push your left ankle into your right knee. So the point of resistance is right here where the legs cross. And keeping that push between the legs, start to rock them towards the right any amount. And your right foot might start to peel away from the wall, but you're still keeping contact, at least probably with like the pinky toe side of the right foot. Keep pulling the right knee in towards the chest and pushing the left leg into the right leg. And come back to center. Release the resistance, and then uncross the legs. And you can climb the legs up a little bit. Take a full breath in and out. Lovely. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. So again, you might stay here. You can start to bend your left knee and walk your left foot down the wall, any amount. And just take some deep breaths here. And now let's create that resistance. So you're gonna pull your left knee in towards your chest without taking your left foot away from the wall. And then simultaneously, you're gonna push your right foot, or I'm sorry, your right leg, right ankle maybe, into your left knee. And then keep that resistance. So pulling in with the left knee, pushing away with the right leg. And we're gonna take the legs over to the left any amount, but keep them firmly glued together, although the left foot might peel somewhat away from the wall. Great. Go ahead and bring your legs back to center. Release the resistance, and then climb your feet straight up the wall. And put your hands on your belly. We're just going to take 3 deep breaths here. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And if you have time and you're feeling super mellow and you want to hang out here for a little while, please do. If, however, you need to get going and you're moving on with the rest of your day, bend your knees, bring your feet down the wall, and then roll over to one side and slowly get up. I hope your lower body, your legs, feel super loved and super great. And thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.